Heavenly Venus in Leo. 7 prophetic revelations for miraculous transformation on August 26, 2025. In the quaint village of Hopewell, nestled amid the lush, rolling hills of England, a whisper of divine promise floated on the August breeze. The air crackled with palpable energy as celestial Venus glimmered brightly in the night sky, her warmth wrapping around the hearts of those who looked up. It was said that this spectacular alignment heralded 7 miraculous revelations, an omen of powerful transformation. Few had the faith to believe except for Mary. Mary, a devoted mother and the loving heartbeat of her family, knelt at her youngest son's bedside, heart laden with despair. Daniel, frail and pale, had been fighting a relentless illness, one that left doctors in hopeless despair. The church, once vibrant with joy and laughter, now lay silent under a heavy blanket of shared grief. But Mary felt a stirring in her soul that night, an unbreakable, sacred thread connecting her to something far greater. Suddenly, a warm light enveloped her. She felt the breath of the Holy Spirit wrap around her, as if giving her a heavenly embrace. In that moment of revelation, tears streamed down her cheeks. Hope surged through her veins. She heard a voice, sweet yet powerful, promising that under heaven's divine alignment on August 26, 2025, Daniel would be healed. She gasped, breathless, in awe of this sacred moment. "I truly believe he will be healed," she exclaimed, looking at her husband and older children, their eyes wide with a mix of disbelief and cautious hope. Somehow, contagiously, her faith sparked a flicker in their hearts. That evening, the family, gathered in their modest cottage, lifted their voices in prayer. As the prayers echoed within the walls, the very air vibrated. Mary sensed the spirits of past saints surrounding them, their heavenly presence a palpable force. "Lord, we stand together, united in faith," she cried, breathless. Around them, the room shimmered with bright golden light, filling their hearts with divine joy. Word spread through the village like wildfire, igniting fervent prayers among friends and neighbors. However, not all individuals in Hopewell shared Mary's unwavering faith. The seeds of skepticism began to sprout, watering the roots of division. Surely, they shouldn't hold on to fairy tales. They scoffed. Even the kindest souls questioned her conviction, their faces reflecting discord that threatened to tear the heart of their community apart. At the precipice of doubt, Mary felt a chill race through her spirit when a misunderstanding led her to waver. Could she have truly misheard? Perhaps this was no cosmic alignment, but merely wishful thinking. But the echo of the divine promise pulsed strongly within her, urging her to keep the flame of hope alive. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With the critical night approaching, the village's old church swelled with energy as residents gathered, hope and skepticism colliding in a sacred atmosphere. The very walls seemed to hum with anticipation, voices raised in prayer filling the air, igniting the souls present. Mary stood before them, trembling yet resolute. "Let us come together, let us believe," she called out, leading the congregation into heartfelt petitions for Daniel's healing. As the prayers swelled in fervor, a soft light shimmered in the air, and to everyone's astonishment, Daniel stirred. The faintest smile graced his lips as color returned to his cheeks, bringing forth gasps and murmurs of awe. Hopewell awoke, the stirrings of faith igniting like a radiant flame, uniting the villagers in celebration and wonder. But an electric current of uncertainty lingered in the air. Could faith alone bridge the chasm of doubt, or would Wednesday night reveal the truth behind Mary's vision? As night fell, The villagers faced a question echoing through their hearts. What truly solidifies unwavering faith when tested by life's unyielding realities? The night had fallen like a soft blanket across Hopewell, wrapping the village in deep stillness. Flickering candles cast shadows that danced against the walls of the church, creating an atmosphere rich with reverence and expectancy. Mary gazed around, feeling both weighty anticipation and soaring hope. The moment felt pivotal, like the turning of a sacred page. As the clock struck 8, a hush fell over the crowd. Faces reflected the somber weight of doubt, mingled with glimmers of faith. The congregation turned their eyes toward the altar, where a simple wooden cross stood, its silhouette veiled in flickering light. It held the weight of worlds of prayers spoken and unspoken, longings fulfilled and hopes dashed. Mary's heart raced. She felt the stirring of the divine promise within her, urging her forth. "Brothers and sisters," she began, her voice trembling but steady, "we gather here not solely for Daniel. Though our love for him compels us, we gather in unity. Our faith, however small, can move mountains." The sound of her words hung in the air, echoing through the church. Some nodded, faces illuminated with burgeoning belief, while others remained skeptical, arms folded, unsure if faith could truly accomplish what seemed impossible. Suddenly, a faint rustle interrupted the stillness. It was Daniel, clinging to the doorway in a thin, fragile frame, supported by the warmth of their family. His presence radiated light, a glimmer of joy breaking through the pall of sorrow. Gasps filled the room, the sound of 1,000 hearts collectively catching breath. "Look!" Mary cried out, tears sparkling in her eyes. "Our prayers are answered. This moment is proof that divine intervention walks among us." The warmth of hope spiraled outward from her, igniting flickers of belief as villagers turned their faces toward the boy, allowing miracles within their hearts. But among the exclamations of joy, doubt still lingered, hidden in shadows. Despite the stirring excitement, whispers arose, weaving their way through the crowd. Could this be real? One bold voice dared a question. Is it just a trick of the light? Mary's heart sank at these murmurs, yet she felt the comforting, urging presence of the Spirit within her. She stepped forward, her voice echoing through the wooden beams of the chapel. Faith is more than sight or sound. It resides in the depth of our believing hearts. Let us pray, together, for the truth of this moment to endure. For what is impossible with man is possible with God. The congregation, sensing the power in her words, began lifting their voices, each plea rising like a flame toward the heavens. Mary closed her eyes, envisioning their voices blending together as one great symphony of faith, ascending to the sparkling stars that graced the dark night sky. Their collective thoughts crafted an unbreakable bond of love and belief that struck at the core of heaven itself. Then, as they prayed, the air began to shift. A gentle breeze stirred, wrapping around the Christians like a warm embrace. Whispers of faith emerged, mingling with the cadence of Mary's voice. It was a sacred hymn resounding in each heart, allowing them to grieve and rejoice all within the same breath. And just as doubt began to fade, a louder voice rose from the congregation. "We believe. We believe." Each declaration sent waves of divine energy through the church, lighting up faces in pure ecstasy. But just as hope soared to its peak, a sudden hush fell again. A silence echoing one heavy question pierced the heart of the assembly. What would happen next? Would this be the moment they dreamed of fulfilling their deepest longings, or would the weight of reality pull them back down into despair? As breaths held in prayer obscured the answer, the village looked toward the heavens for guidance, yet the stars above held their own mysteries. What awaited them beyond this threshold of faith? Then, just as the silence stretched on, Daniel stepped inside, the flickering candlelight dancing on his frail form. A breathless whisper swept through the crowd, as if the very air parted for him. Mary could hardly believe her eyes. There Daniel stood, frail yet radiant, a glimmer of life reflecting from him like the dawn after a long, dark night. The air crackled with tension and hope. Mary's heart raced as she watched his foot cross the threshold. It felt as if heaven had breathed life into the sanctuary, filling every corner with an electrifying pulse. "Thank you, O Lord," she exclaimed, her hands raised toward the heavens. "You have brought us this miracle." As she spoke, the reality of his presence began to break the barriers of doubt. One by one, villagers stood, their hearts aligned with renewed hope. "We believe," they shouted in unison, a wave of fervor rippling through the crowd. Tears streamed down faces, softening hardened hearts as they let go of their doubts. Yet, in that soaring moment, Mary sensed an unshakable truth hanging amidst the joy. Daniel, though present, looked around, uncertainty clouding his youthful face. His eyes searched, as if he were trying to grasp something intangible, something not quite reachable. An invisible thread of fear tugged at Mary. Deep down, she understood that this was just the beginning of a profound journey, the beginning of divine transformation. As the congregation surged forward, drawn by their shared faith, they enveloped Daniel in their embrace. There was something special in the way their hands warmed his body, their voices lifting him higher. "You are home," whispered an elder, his voice thick with emotion. "We have all been waiting for you." In that sacred circle, Mary took a step back, grateful yet anxious. This moment bore weight. "Let's not forget," she began, hesitating, "that the road ahead may be rocky. Faith requires us to walk through the valleys. Are we prepared for the trials that may come?" A cloud of murmurs arose. Some lifted their heads defiantly, ready to face what was to come, while others hung back, shackled by uncertainty. "We have been through storms before," a firm voice declared. A nod from another showed solidarity. Mary felt the waves of emotions crashing around her. Could they stand firm against the winds that might sweep through their lives like a beast unleashed? She turned to Daniel, sensing the quiet soul beneath the surface. "Can you feel it?" she asked, her voice low but steady. The promise of hope and presence unfolding. "We are a people intertwined in faith. Our miracles depend on unity." Daniel looked at her, and, for the briefest moment, a smile curved his lips. It was a glimpse and awakening. He took a deep breath, stepped forward, and declared, "I feel it. I feel the love of all of you." Cheers erupted around him. Yet, Mary felt a stillness beneath the excitement. She recalled the darkness that clung stubbornly to the corners of their hearts. What trials would soon come? She glanced at the congregation, her mind racing with possibility. Were they ready to walk this journey together, amid joy and struggle? And just then, as if sensing the urgency of her heart, an unexpected breeze swept through the church, rustling the pages of worn hymnals. The doors creaked, and a hush fell again this time, a holy silence, as if the heavens were stretching out their arms, lingering on the edge of revelation. What lay ahead for Daniel and their community? Would they be met with blessings, or would trials temper their faith? The air thickened with uncertainty as they prepared to bridge the gap between doubt and destiny. All eyes turned skyward, awaiting the next step in their divine journey. What awaited them on the horizon of faith? As the holy silence enveloped the room, something extraordinary began to stir. A light flickered brighter from the altar, casting a warm glow that both comforted and challenged. Faces turned toward it, eyes wide with anticipation. The flickering seemed alive, dancing like the flame of each candle, and Mary felt a stirring deep in her spirit, as if messages were being woven into the atmosphere. "Gather close," Mary said, her voice steady yet inviting, as she encouraged the villagers to encircle Daniel once more. "Let us not just rejoice in this moment, but also listen to what the Lord might be whispering to us in our hearts." She sensed that the winds of change were upon them, flooding them with an opportunity for growth, and now was the time to listen. Daniel stood at the center, the embodiment of their hopes and prayers, yet shadows flickered just around the edges of his countenance. He glanced at Mary, silently imploring her to help him understand. With a gentle yet probing gaze, Mary could see the struggle inside him, a mirror of the struggle that danced within the people. Sometimes she began carefully, choosing her words with the utmost care. Our journeys take unexpected turns. We may feel lost. We may even feel afraid. But remember, friends, through faith, we can conquer the deepest fears. As if on cue, the breeze that had just ruffled the hymnals picked up again, this time swirling around them, wrapping the village in a cocoon of warmth. It was a tangible reminder that their prayers had not gone unheard. They felt supported, embraced by faith that was greater than their fears. An elder in the congregation stepped forward, his hands trembling as he spoke. What if our doubts are what hold us back? He pondered aloud, his brow furrowing like a storm brewing inside. What if we cannot move forward because we cling to our past? The murmurs among the gathered intensified. There is truth in that. One person cried out, while another nodded thoughtfully. Mary's heart quickened. This was pivotal. They were beginning to confront the things they had avoided. Let's confront our doubts together, Mary encouraged. For within them is the real power to set us free. When we lay down our fears, we create space for God's miracles. Just look at Daniel. He is here as proof that he answers our cries. Daniel's gaze swept across the faces illuminated by faith and curiosity. He felt stronger, emboldened by their belief. The flutter of unease in his heart began to transform. Was it possible, he thought, that he could be a vessel of change for this community? In that moment of collective vulnerability, a strong, divine presence descended upon them. It was palpable, the weight of it, a warmth that surged through the fabric of their hearts. The air thickened with the promise of revelation, as they collectively closed their eyes, surrendering their doubts. Lord, Mary led, her voice breaking the stillness, we come before you, lifting our burdens. Show us the path, even if it be entwined with trials. Strengthen our hearts as we press forward together. Tears flowed freely now. One by one, hands reached toward the heavens, an unbroken chorus of voices seeking divine guidance in unity. They were entering a sacred threshold, ready to forge ahead into the unknown. And in that collective prayer, a new revelation dawned, piercing through the shadows of their hearts. Would they find the courage necessary to embrace this path? As their voices rose higher, filled with fervency and trust, something stirred in the air, an oracle of change unveiling the next stage of their journey. Shadows danced and flickered, and just above the altar, a shimmering light took form. Promising more than they could fathom, what would this miraculous transformation look like, and how would they step into the plans yet revealed? The atmosphere bristled, alive with anticipation. What would be revealed next as they dove deeper into their faith? As the shimmering light above the altar intensified, a hush fell over the congregation. It was as if the very air stacked itself with spiritual whispers, filling the hearts of the villagers with an anticipation they could hardly contain. Eyes were glued to the radiant glow, and even Daniel, typically consumed by uncertainty, felt a gentle tingle of hope unfurl within him. Do you feel that? Mary breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. The sacred energy pulsed around them, weaving through their intertwined spirits like threads of light, uniting every soul present. She felt it, to a call from the Almighty seeking a response. Daniel took a step forward, emboldened by the holy atmosphere. What is it you want to show us, Lord? He called out, his voice steady yet thirsting for answers. The light above him flickered, and in response, every heart began to beat in unison, resonating deep inside. The elder who had spoken before, his hands now steady, raised his voice. We must not be afraid. This is the moment to bring forth our vision. What if we're being called to a new way of living, to move forward together as one? A ripple of agreement flowed through the crowd, faces brightening with the spark of revelation. Mary gazed around, her heart lifting as she saw the flicker of understanding invade previously clouded minds. What if our doubts don't define us? What if they're the very thing that leads us to discover greater truths? The words hung in the air, each syllable a bridge to deeper exploration, inviting all to consider the promises yet unseen. As if acknowledging her question, the shimmering light shifted. It coalesced into patterns that felt ancient, yet refreshingly new, sacred symbols swirling and forming a tapestry of insight. Mary closed her eyes, allowing the wisdom of those manifestations to wash over her. "Lord, speak to us. Show us the next move," she whispered fervently, urging the villagers to connect their prayers together, elevating their spirits as one. The golden hue seemed to respond, pulsing rhythmically as if the heavens were breathing alongside them. And then, casting a powerful presence, a voice emerged from the light, a sound that could not be ignored. "You are called to be a beacon in your community. Rise and share the love that I have instilled in you." The voice resonated deep within Daniel, rousing an awakening he never thought possible. "Together, we can be the change," Daniel cried out, his confidence now spilling over into the room. "Together, we can ignite a flame of hope. We can support each other and extend our hands to those who feel lost." Hands shot up, fingers stretched toward the heavens. Tears flowed in abundance. Eyes glistened with new vision. The village sensed it. The universe was conspiring with them. They were on the cusp of a new awakening, a transformation that would ripple through the very fabric of their lives. "Let us involve ourselves fully in this calling," Mary encouraged, embracing the energy unfolding before her. She could no longer deny the truth that their past doubts were not chains holding them back, but seed from which faith would bloom. The light above glimmered in agreement, wrapping the space in warmth. The villagers, now fervent and alive, began to align their visions. What if each of us committed to a promise to serve, to uplift, to inspire? Echoed through the crowd, nourishing the atmosphere. But as they stood in this collective light, something stirred again, a new vision forming out of the golden haze. What rooted in Daniel's heart as he watched might exceed mere transformation. It might birth a movement, a revelation of scale and depth that would touch souls far and wide. "Imagine the possibilities," a voice exclaimed. "Imagine the lives we can touch." As they surrendered in prayer, their hearts unified in faith, the oracle of light began to shift dramatically once more. The congregation felt the room breathe with life, the divine presence swirling amidst their earnest supplications. Would they be ready to answer the call that echoed within them? What wondrous changes were on the horizon, waiting just beyond their reach, shimmering in the shadows? They looked onward, thirsting for answers, fully aware that their journey was only beginning. As the waves of golden light continued to cascade around the altar, the villagers felt something shift within them. It was as if the very essence of hope now mingled with their very breaths. Daniel and Mary exchanged glances, each seeing in the other a reflection of the divine promise unfolding before them. "Can you feel the call?" Mary asked, her voice rising with excitement. "It's as if the Lord is whispering secrets of what is to come." "Indeed," Daniel replied. A sense of anticipation buzzed within him, a tingling energy tapping at the edges of his consciousness. "But how do we respond? What steps do we take?" The elder spoke again, his eyes shimmering with wisdom. "We must start small. Acts of love can flourish in the tiniest of places. If we each commit to nourish this spark, it can ignite a wildfire of grace among us." The crowd murmured in agreement, their hearts swelling with conviction. They could feel the gentle tug of purpose drawing them closer together. One by one, they began sharing their ideas, their dreams intertwined like a garden bursting into bloom. "What if we host gatherings to pray for our neighbors?" suggested a young woman, her voice bright. "A chance to offer support and share our journeys? Or a food drive?" Another voice chimed in. "Many in our community struggle. Let us gather what we can." Each proposal took wing, filling the air with possibilities. The spirit of unity danced among the congregation, wrapping them in an embrace that was both comforting and invigorating. Mary felt the warmth of these ideas settle deep in her heart. Even the smallest offering can leave a lasting impact, she shared. Imagine the connection we'll create. We could be the heart that pumps love throughout our village. The villagers nodded fervently, caught up in a surge of enthusiasm. It was exhilarating to think of what they could accomplish together. Eyes sparkling, they felt divinely empowered to step beyond their previous struggles. Yet, amidst the exuberance, a weighty thought lingered in Daniel's mind. He glanced around at the eager faces and wondered, could they truly sustain this momentum? The excitement hidden in the golden haze remained a question. Inspiration was one thing, but how would they persevere through obstacles? Just then, the light above flickered again, casting shadows that danced along their feet. It became a movement, both playful and enchanting. The voice resonated warmly once more. Faith is the bridge that carries you through every trial. When storms arise, let love be your anchor. Daniel sensed a challenge rooted in those words. This venture would not only be about joy, but also endurance, resilience. Conflict and doubt might rise and try to extinguish their hope. Could they hold on to their mission when times got tough? Would they remember to lean on each other? We must create a foundation rooted in compassion. Daniel spoke up, feeling the import of his own words. Let us not just start these projects. Let us support one another through every trial we face. Bring your voices, your struggles, your fears. Together we rise. The crowd fell silent, a sacred moment of contemplation settling upon them. Daniel could see uncertainty flicker in some eyes, but also a determination to conquer that unease. Then, like a gentle breeze stirring the branches, a soft whisper danced through the air. You are loved, and in love, you'll find strength. Trust in the journey. Hope unfolded again, and they all sensed the invitation to step into a new realm, not just as individuals, but as a family of faith. But what do we do when we fall short? A voice asked from among the crowd, a note of worry breaking the fervor. The question hung heavily in the room, demanding an answer. In that stillness, as they all wrestled with that doubt, the light above pulsed. They could feel it reminding them that even in moments of uncertainty, they were never alone. Collective breaths filled the air, mingling between trust and disbelief. The golden light shimmered brightly, urging them to grasp the deeper truth. What awaited them as they embraced both? The joy and the uncertainty? Would their shared journey unveil surprising miracles? The congregation rested in anticipation, ready for the next step of their divine exploration. The breath of stillness surrounded them, a profound silence enveloping the villagers. Each person's heart was a drumbeat of faith, echoing the question that lingered in the air. The elder smiled warmly, sensing the weight of concern, and leaned forward slightly, as if welcoming the vulnerability openly shared. Falling short, dear ones, is simply part of the journey, he said, his voice flowing like a gentle stream. It's not the falls that define us, but how we rise thereafter. Each stumble is an invitation to learn, to grow. When you find yourselves feeling unsteady, remember that love does not keep score. A soft murmur rippled through the crowd, the words landing gently like leaves falling from a tree on a crisp autumn day. They needed to hear that, especially in moments when their path seemed uncertain. Mary glanced around, her spirit buoyed by the elder's wisdom. We must share our fears and victories alike, she said, inspired. That is how we build our foundation. Let us be transparent, vulnerable. The stronger our bond, the higher we'll soar. Daniel watched as the villagers nodded in agreement, the light around them flickering in affirmation. There was a deepening understanding, a collective realization that in each challenge lay the seed of opportunity. They could weather any storm together, arms linked and hearts aligned. Another villager, an older gentleman with hands that had known hard labor, stepped forward. I remember a time when I felt utterly lost, he began, his voice steady. It was prayer that brought me back. When the burden felt too heavy, I learned that sharing those struggles could lighten the load. We must become each other as shoulders to cry on. His words dripped with authenticity, drawing murmurs of agreement and encouragement from others. The light above sparkled again, bathing them in golden hues, heightening the energy that danced amongst them. Imagine the joy of lifting each other when we are lost. Picture what will happen when we each become a beacon of light. Mary exclaimed, her voice rising with enthusiasm. From the back of the gathering, a young boy stood up, innocent hope shining in his eyes. Together, we can be like mighty trees. No storm can knock us down if our roots are intertwined. His simple analogy brought forth smiles and laughter, and suddenly the crowd felt lighter. The air buzzed with excitement as ideas flowed freely, a cascade of inspiration filling the sacred space. They began speaking of prayer walks, community gardens, even mentorship programs for the younger generations. Every idea, no matter how modest, was celebrated as a divine possibility. Daniel felt the power of their unity swelling, and yet the questions still fluttered in the back of his mind. But how will we stay connected when life gets busy, when the distractions pull us in different directions? Just then, a woman clothed in a radiant smile spoke from her heart. We can create a schedule of check-ins. A simple text or call across miles can remind us of our love, our mission. The golden light glimmered as if it danced in joy at this suggestion. Daniel saw heads nodding, and a new thread of commitment began to weave itself. They were realizing that intentionality was key. Devotion needed follow-up for endurance. Indeed, exclaimed the elder, raising a hand to bless them. Let each of you commit to bearing witness to one another as journeys. Share your stories, your wisdom, and when you see a brother or sister struggling, let love catalyze action. Hope blossomed in that sacred moment, each heart feeling a weave of connection. Yet, as the glowing light cast its warmth, Daniel's spirit sank momentarily. Overwhelmed by the magnitude of their aspirations, he still felt the shadows of doubt. Can we truly uphold this vision when trials arise? He questioned softly, almost to himself, but the room heard him. The gentle stir of the wind seemed to hold its breath, waiting for an answer. What tides of change would wash over them in their pursuit of faith? Would they find the strength to rise when the ground beneath them trembled? With collective hearts beating in unity, they were ready to embrace whatever the journey would unfold. The silence hung in the air, thick yet charged with hope. The villagers exchanged glances, their eyes reflecting the flickering light that seemed to dance around them, stirring a sense of sacred expectancy. The elder's gentle wisdom still lingered, wrapping them in a warm embrace as they pondered Daniel's question. Suddenly, a sense of urgency filled the atmosphere. The elder, with a soft smile, pointed to the horizon. But remember, every dawn comes after the darkest night. Trials are but a passing cloud. How we face them unveils the depth of our faith. A gasp escaped from a woman near the front. What if our shadows feel too heavy? Her voice trembled slightly, revealing the uncertainty that had crept into many hearts. In those moments, the elder replied, raising his voice slightly, "Let us lift one another. Each prayer, each word of encouragement, we clothe each other in strength." The crowd leaned in, eager for the promise of shared resilience. Mary stood again, her hands clutching her heart. What about sharing our celebrations too? Every joy, every small victory, must also be multiplied in the sharing. Her words reverberated as if echoing through the very roots of the trees around them. Daniel felt a lightness as she spoke. Yes, each triumph can spark hope. His heart swelled with the realization that their connections, built on both struggles and joys, were fortifying the very fabric of their community. The discussion blossomed, weaving together their individual experiences into a tapestry of devotion. The idea of community gatherings transformed into a vision of collective celebration. The village would come together to share stories, laughter, and music, each voice becoming a thread in the grander design of belonging. The elder nodded, seeing the spark in their eyes. Perhaps the greatest gift we can give is our attention. Let us listen, truly listen, not just to the words, but to the hearts behind them. A murmur of agreement swept through the crowd. The spirit of unity felt tangible, electrifying. As the evening grew deeper, a hush fell over them when a tall man emerged from the crowd, stepping forward with cautious steps. "I've always struggled with doubts," he began. The honesty in his voice broke the spell of excitement. "What do we do when fear grips our hearts? How do we dare to hope?" Daniel felt the weight of this question, and he sensed the collective breath taken by the villagers, their hearts hanging on the man's every word. The elder spoke with a gentle authority. "Fear is but a shadow that flees in the light of hope. Let your faith be a lantern for those moments. Share your light. The flame does not diminish when we share it." Tears glimmered in the eyes of many. The imagery of shared light deepened their resolve. It was okay to feel vulnerable. What mattered was how they moved through it together. As the energy shifted, they decided they would host a gathering under the stars, an open night of singing, sharing, and prayer. The anticipation echoed like a drumbeat of faith, a promise weaving through the crowd. They would invite everyone, the curious, the doubters, even those who had strayed. Together they would rise. "Let this night be one for the ages," Mary exclaimed, the fire igniting in her eyes. "Yes, let it be our night of renewal," echoed a voice from the back, and cheers of agreement rippled through the gathering. But as the villagers began to disperse, Daniel lingered, feeling the pull of uncertainty again. Could they truly sustain this momentum when the world outside seemed to beckon? As he asked this question silently to himself, the evening air cooled. The stars overhead shimmered brightly, whispering secrets of divine promise. It was as if the universe, alive with possibilities, was awaiting their first step into the unknown. What challenges and joys lie ahead in this journey of faith? Would they emerge transformed, or would the weight of doubt threaten to overshadow their light? The night held its breath, allowing their hopes to weave dreams yet unseen. As the stars shimmered brightly above, Daniel felt a stirring in his heart. Anticipation buzzed like the night air, a sacred melody waiting to unfold. The villagers began to drift toward their homes, the sounds of their footsteps fading into the distance. Yet he remained, gazing skyward, as if seeking answers from the heavens. The wind shifted gently, rustling the leaves, whispering encouragement. In that moment of stillness, a deep voice echoed within him. "Trust in the path ahead, for I am with you." Daniel inhaled sharply, feeling warmth flood over him, grounding him in the reassurance of a divine presence. Will they truly come? He mused aloud, the question carrying into the night. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A small group of few children, their laughter bright and innocent, ran past him, their joy palpable. They were chased by a dog, barking playfully. The sight made Daniel smile and warmed his spirit. If they could find joy in simple moments, why not the rest of them? His gaze turned toward the gathering place they had chosen. A large oak tree stood at its center, strong and magnificent. It felt timeless, a witness to their joys and sorrows. Daniel approached it, placing his hand upon its rough bark. "You have watched over us for generations," he whispered, "and we seek to honor that tradition with our celebration. May we find clarity beneath your branches." Then he thought of the elder and the way the old man had framed their purpose. Each triumph, every story woven into the night would act like a golden thread binding the community closer. Could it really be that simple? "Lord, help me to see, to feel the connections that await," Daniel prayed softly, closing his eyes. A surge of emotion raced through him, as if the universe were aligning to amplify his yearning. An image formed in his mind, villagers hand in hand, encircling the great oak, their voices blending in a harmonious chorus of hope and gratitude. Together, he breathed, realizing that strength lay not solely in individual triumphs, but in their unity. The silent awe within him expanded. This gathering could shift everything. As the moon climbed higher, glittering in the night sky like a beacon, he felt a pull from the depths of his soul, a call to action. He would not wait. Gathering wisps of courage around him, he took off down the path toward the village center. "Let us gather tomorrow night," he declared suddenly to the few stragglers still milling about. "Let it be a night for everyone. We will share not just our burdens, but also our triumphs." They looked at him, surprise turning to excitement. One elder woman nodded vigorously, "Yes, we need this." Her voice rang with conviction, stirring the hearts around her. As the people broke into conversations, plans formed like constellations across the night sky. Ideas flowed freely, illuminating dreams that had long slumbered in darkness. "What if we also invite some musicians?" someone suggested, "and storytellers? Let the tales of our ancestors echo through the years." Another added. The energy was palpable, a sacred light igniting their determination. Daniel's heart surged with a sense of purpose. This was more than a gathering. It was a revival. He stepped back to take it all in. The laughter, the animated chatter, the hopeful glow in their eyes, what beauty God could create from their willingness to share. Yet, amidst the joyful chaos, the flickering doubt returned to whisper softly in his ear. But will it be enough? Will it be enough to heal the fractures among us? As he stood wrestling with these thoughts, a cool breeze brushed against his cheek, as if offering gentle reassurance. A flicker of doubt began to meld away into the starry night. They had each other, and that in itself was a miracle waiting to unfold. The memories of former gatherings began to flash before him, moments stitched tightly in the fabric of their lives. Each gathering had been a thread, providing a lifeline to the village's heartbeat. Tomorrow night, Daniel whispered to himself, tomorrow night will be a turning point. As he turned to leave, a soft gaze from a child, bright and innocent, stopped him. "Will all our dreams come true?" the little one asked, eyes wide with wonder. Daniel knelt down, looking into those innocent eyes. "Yes," he replied quietly, "if we trust and share in faith, all things are possible." But as he walked back under the stars, Daniel felt the complexity of what was coming. A longing settled deep within him, not just to gather, but to witness a transformation. What miracles awaited them under the vastness of the night? The path ahead glittered, enticing him with hopes of unimaginable change. As the sun began to rise over Hopewell, a new day unfolded, illuminating the village with hope and possibility. The morning light streamed through the trees, casting dazzling patterns on the ground, like divine fingerprints calling forth a fresh beginning. Daniel stirred with the flock of energy swirling inside him. Today was the day they would gather together to lift one another up. Mary walked through the village, a gentle smile brightening her face as she greeted neighbors. Each exchange felt like a thread connecting hearts, weaving their faith into something beautiful. There was something electric in the air, a primeval energy that suggested they were on the cusp of something greater than themselves. At the oak tree, the gathering place buzzed with excitement. Children dashed about, laughter ringing like joyful chimes. Villagers worked side by side, setting up for the evening, sharing not only food and ideas, but dreams and fears. There was an overwhelming sense of community taking root, nourished by love and a shared mission. Mary looked around, her heart swelling with gratitude. She felt the Spirit move amongst them, whispering that this day would forever change their lives. Together, we are powerful, she declared, drawing everyone's attention. Together, we are the incense rising to heaven. As twilight descended, casting a golden haze across the village, the crowd began to gather. Each face radiated a unique shine, the beauty of hope being rekindled. Mary spoke again. "Let's share our stories tonight. Let every word, every laugh, every tear become a bridge connecting us." Daniel watched from the sidelines, amazed at the blossoming of their connectedness. He felt a new strength coursing through him, a voice rising in his spirit stronger than doubt's shadows. The evening air hummed in sync with their unity as the villagers began to share. One after another, they opened their hearts, recounting the challenges they had faced, the struggles they had overcome. The stories poured out like rain, a shower of authenticity washing away doubt and fear. The murmur of stories intertwined, creating a tapestry of faith vibrant enough to warm the coldest soul. Just the other week, I felt so lost, shared a young woman, her voice trembling with raw emotion. But through prayer and by talking with you all, I found my way back to faith. Nods of understanding rippled through the crowd, fanning the flames of solidarity. As the evening deepened, music began to fill the air, wrapping the gathering in melodies that spoke of hope and love. Mary led a song, her voice strong and clear. Daniel joined in, feeling the spirit of joy flood through every note, leaving a sweet residue of peace behind. Their voices intermingled, carrying upward like a sweet incense. The energy shifted. It grew richer, thicker, and enveloped them in a warm embrace, the very presence of God alighting among them. Each person felt at the weight of their prayers merging into one heartbeat, pulsing a rhythm of resilience. But just as joy soared high, the wind changed. A flicker of uncertainty leaped within Daniel, a reminder of the trials that lay ahead. He pulled back, uncertain whether they could sustain this newfound unity when the world outside pressed in. Yet in that moment, a voice came from deep within him, urging him to look around. He saw Mary's serene face. She was a beacon, a source of unwavering faith. Other faces glowed, reflecting the divine promise that this community would rise together. Can we find strength in this unity? Daniel pondered, looking into the eyes of the villagers. Just then, the elder stepped forward, grounding the atmosphere with his presence. Never forget, love is the source of endurance, he said, his voice steady. When the storms come, and they will let love be your beacon. Let guide you home. As murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly, Daniel felt a spark of courage, igniting a flame of determination within him. We are not just a community, but a family. Together, we'll embrace even our struggles as part of God's divine narrative. Together, we are the light, Mary echoed, her voice carrying the weight of their shared faith. As the crowd erupted in a harmonious cheer, Daniel felt the culmination of prayer and unity become tangible. Together, they were stronger than any individual doubts, ready to confront the trials that awaited. As stars began to glimmer against the deepening twilight, a palpable presence descended upon them, a sign, a promise. Together, they would step forth into a new chapter of their journey, forged in faith and love. This was not merely an ending, but the beginning of a transformative journey, rooted deeply in the kinship of their hearts, a community filled with love, forever woven together under the watchful gaze of heaven. Let it be known, dear sisters and brothers, we are called to share our light, to lift one another, and to embrace the journey ahead. If you felt the stirring of the Spirit within you, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so that you will not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm. Your support is vital. Comment below your reactions and share your testimonies about this beautiful ending as we build a tapestry of faith together. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how divine love brings transformation. You are all key players in this sacred mission. Let us continue to shine together.